Yeah, we don't want to do the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call? It's 2017. Crazy project year. One of the most fun / unique things I got to do this year was I got to kind of produce, engineer, join forces with a pop punk band called I'm Spartacus, and we did a bunch of cover songs, and not just any old cover songs. Not relevant cover songs, but cover songs that were reminiscent of the 80s and 90s. Ah, yes. So Ghostbusters was, you know, one of those songs that we kind of all agreed needed to be a little heavier, a little harder. We really wanted to try to keep some original elements in it. So kind of that 80s feel, drum sound, some synthy stuff. Ben actually had kind of a reference track, if you will. Somebody had covered Ghostbusters, and he, you know, pulls up the video in the studio, and he was like, this guy got a keytar. It was awesome. You know, we're all talking double bass and the drum, kick drums. Like, yeah, you know, double bass. What is happening in the verse there?
You will get it.
Yeah, I will.
You'll get it. You're getting it.
So one of the things that comes to mind was Michael's bass sound. And we had the Ampeg, and we had that thing just, you know, we mic'd it up in a DI. And right off the get-go, he was like, I've got this really fuzzed out, distorted sound that I've been playing with. I've never been able to fit it into anything we do. And I'm like, well, show me. And he busts it out, you know, he stomps on the pedal and just he hits the first note with his pick, and it's just like, bah, you know. And I looked over at our assistant, Daniel, who was sitting in the chair, and I'm just like, yeah, we've got to record that. It's totally going in there somewhere. And there was actually 3 different bass tracks for different parts of the song. You know, you had this crazy distorted sound, then you kind of had this straight, clean, modern pop punk sound, and then the third one you had this, you know, kind of 80s, a little bit of chorus sound that's flown in towards the end. So, you know, tons of bass tracks just in general. You know, it was like 6 deep or something like that when it came down to blending and layering it all in. So it was kind of crazy, but it was really cool to see Michael just pull that out and to experiment on his own with some ideas and play with tone in a way that maybe they hadn't before. And that was all the way through the record. You know, we really collectively made this thing. It didn't feel contrived. It didn't feel rehearsed in a bad way. They were prepared, but it felt really, really cool. Ben, of course, he was running through the Mesa 99.9% of the time, and we would finagle that. We would dial back tone. Of course, he has a Fender guitar, one of the types of guitars that Tom DeLonge used to use or still does use. And so it's this really cool, bright, you know, perfect rock and roll tone. I mean, we've got double track guitars, you know, one rhythm guitar going on. That was Ben's main guitar, and we layered with a Les Paul, my Les Paul that I've had for years, and so to get that humbucker sound, you know, inspiration from Yellow Card. Ooh. And I handed him the Les Paul, and that is this. Just a little chunkier, kind of beefier. The beef, and you know, so the guitars were really cool. When it came down to actually get, you know, some of the finishing touches, you know, we weren't going for just, you know, here's the theme song or here's the original, or on the flip side, we really didn't want to try to do our own arrangement of it. We wanted it to be really recognizable, you know, and so those riffs and the way that those hit, the da-na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na, yeah, those things had to be in there. And so this intro was probably the most creative sound designy I've gotten in a while. It was involved. This is the guitar track that I was talking about that we called the ghost track. It just sounds ridiculous. Like here's the actual thing that we used. And I mean, it's drenched in reverb. I'll be honest. Most of that is just a really reverbed out, like guitar with distortion pick slot. How the squeal, how that happens? I think that's partially why we used this section, is just because it's so crazy that this intro is broken down into that part. Here's a walkie-talkie sample, like static. Police scanner, chopped it all up. Just kind of to use it, as we saw fit or whatever. Here was the voice that I was telling you about.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do.
The intro is often kind of skipped over. The original Ghostbusters theme has this really cool down, down, down kind of this intro, and then it comes in with comes into the actual, start of the song, if you will, that everybody knows. But it's like, this is perfect punk rock intro, And so, what we just really wanted to play off of that, dive bombs on the pick and the string, We thought, okay, cool, well, if that pick slide with the reverb worked really well, let's do it again. But instead of just a regular old punk rock pick slide, let's do it and it make it sound like the ghosts are kind of like, oh, 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 oh. So, I mean, here it is in all its ridiculousness, just pick slides. So you have just this epic intro to the song, So it was just a lot of fun to get creative with the guys and to, break down, the typical recording process of we got to go, 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 or, we got to have it all rehearsed so that we can, just knock it out in the studio. I really enjoy being able to think through and be intentional about parts in a record and in a song. One of the things that I think is a little unique to me in my production style, I love being literal. If a song is about Ghostbusters, I want it to feel scary, haunting, edgy. If the song is about something else, I want it to be literal. I don't want there to be too much guesswork for the listener. I've always just kind of appreciated that. So it's cool that Ghostbusters starts with a bang and it's just like this ridiculous, epic masterpiece. One of the funnier conversations Ben and I had about Ghostbusters as production was kind of starting to come together, some stuff had been tracked, and we were talking about just kind of the middle of the song and how it felt like it needed just this, scream in there, and he calls up Josiah Prince from who's in Disciple, and Josiah was like, well, sure, yeah, I'll come over there. And comes over, tells us a bunch of rock and roll stories, which were fantastic. I was eating them all up. It was great. And goes in the booth and screams his face off. And we were like, thank you very much. That does that. That puts a nice little bow on the spot. The other part B of that scream, part 2, one of Ben's kids, his oldest, can do like his scream, like his metal scream, if you will, when he's just trying to, his actual scream. It sounds like a metal scream. Like he'll do it from the back seat when Ben's listening to music, and It's hilarious. He just sounds like a velociraptor, is fighting for prehistoric domination. I don't know. It's crazy. It's terrifying. And so I take a little bit of that. I hack off, the smash and the S and the 8s at the end and the beginning. And it's like, this terrifying scream. And it's done by a little kid, I mean, it's how you arrive at certain things is pretty fascinating sometimes. No doubt about that. It was a good time.
Fakeman, what happened? Are you okay?
He slimed me.
That's great! Actual physical contact. Can you move?
Ray, come in, please.
I feel so funky.